start recording. All right, there we go. I apologize for not recording sooner. Uh, but again, we are pulling up the entry event note taker on Summit since we are continuing our talk about family trees and such. So, a way to do that real quick, you get to Summit, looks like this. Go over here to your year view, find our class, creative writing, homegoing as our project, boom, right there. Oh, excuse me. Checkpoint one, reading notes. And then if you scroll down, you will see entry event note taker right here. If you click that, and it should look like this, right? And that is what we want to have pulled up uh, on our screen, okay? So let's take a minute or two and get there now if we can. When you have it pulled up, please give me a thumbs up or let me know in the chat so that I know you got it. And I should see one of those from everyone so I know everybody is on the right page. Again, pulling up the entry event note taker on Summit. Give me a thumbs up in the chat or let me know when you got it pulled up. Hey, good morning, Nakai. Welcome to you. All right, so still haven't seen anything in the chat. So one more time, real quick, where we are going on Summit is the entry event note taker. So when you get to Summit and you go to your year view and you find our class, creative writing, all right, you want to click on checkpoint one right here. Should be the only one you have yet. And if you scroll down, you'll see entry event note taker. Should be like the second or third one. When you click that, it will look like this. And if you have been in class, then this should look familiar because we've been working on it the last few days. We're going to try and finish it up today. All right. So take maybe another minute if you still don't have this pulled up and let me know when you do in the chat so I know everybody is there. Okay. Thank you, Salima. She told me she got it. The rest of us, when we pull this up, please let me know in the chat. All right, y'all. So hopefully we have this pulled up. I only heard from one person in the chat, but I'm going to keep moving here. And again, remember that if you are a little bit behind, you can always come see me in the Summit Lab or watch the class recording on the Yes Philly YouTube. Okay. But on this entry event note taker that we've been working on, you should have the first part answered on yours. Okay, we talked about what an epigraph is. We kind of tried to define the epigraph we have in our story. And then last class, we defined in our own words what is a family tree. So can anybody just refresh our memory of that and give us either in the chat or come off mute, give us your own definition of a family tree, something we can fill in here just to make sure we have everything filled out up to date. Can anyone give us your own definition of a family tree that we can fill in real quick, either in the chat or if you want to come off mute. What can I put here for my definition of a family tree? If any of you have this filled out on yours, then this should be pretty easy. Just share what you already have. But if not, how can we define this? Like your great grandmother, her mom and son, right, Salima? So how can we define that more kind of uniformly? Like if somebody asks you what a family tree is, what would you say to them? So like we can even start it off here. Family tree is what? How can we finish that? What's a good definition of a family tree? Maybe somebody who we haven't heard from yet. So maybe Nakaya, maybe Liv, Kanaya, Shabria, anybody we haven't heard from yet that can give us their own definition of a family tree, either in the chat or you can come off mute. Tyquil, I know we haven't heard from you yet this morning. If you have any thoughts on this, how can we finish this? What's a good way we can define a family tree in our own words? I'll even give you a little bit more of a sentence starter here. All right. Family tree is a diagram that what? How can we finish that off now for our definition? Like Salima said, it's like your great grandmother and her mom and son, and so on. So, which is 100% true. So, how can we reword what you're talking about there, Salima, into this definition? Family trees diagram showing relationship between people in several generations. I love that. Really good job, Salima. Thank you. That shows the relationship between people in several generations. Okay, and I want to highlight that. So if you don't have that defined on your entry event note taker, or if you still don't have your entry event note taker pulled up on Summit, please put that in there now on yours for number 3A. If you don't have a family tree definition in there, you can put this one in that we just came up with. Okay. So, ladies and gents, the next thing, or I should say the last thing we're going to do on this note taker is create our own family or community tree, right? And I say community tree because if we have branches of our family tree that we don't really know a lot of, if we would prefer to use friends, or friends who are close, like family, rather than our own family tree, we can do that too. Whatever you think works best for you. All right. So that's what we're going to try and come up with here. So we're going to choose to have your family tree include friends and community members who you are close with as well. Make your own shapes, symbols, color coding, so a reader can clearly understand the relationships. So if you remember from these kind of example family trees we looked at, like this one has a key, and the yellow is the mom's side, the blue is the dad's side, and we know, okay, a red line means they're married, a purple line means they're siblings. You're going to try and think about doing the same thing. So here's like an example key that you might have down here, right? So the first step in doing this, that again, hopefully should have started last week. I know we were kind of running short on time, but the first step you can see here on your note taker at number 4 says brainstorm a list of people for your tree. And maybe go back and jot down a quick note on how they are related or connected to you. All right. So, for example, if I were making my own family tree here, this is where I would list everybody that I would want to include, and then maybe I would make a little note on who is related to whom, so I know how to go back and connect it on the family tree. So I would write, okay, I'm going to get rid of the highlight here for a quick sec. So maybe I would write mom and dad. Okay. And then I would write, all my sisters here. So I could say like Nikki and Derek, who is her husband, and then they have a son named Nate. Okay. And then maybe I write Mia and Brian, who's her husband. And then in parentheses, I put their kids, Riley and Lucas. Okay. And then I put my other sister, Cindy. Okay. And her husband. All right. And then I put their kids in parentheses. All right. Chelsea and Justin. All right. And then I keep going. And then maybe, down here, so then maybe next I put like my aunts and uncles. So I have like my Aunt Christine and her husband. Okay. And then I put their kids, Kevin and Jake, in parentheses. And then maybe I make a little note here next to Aunt Christine. I'll say like, okay, so I can remind myself, okay, yeah, this is mom's sister. So that's how I make the connection. So that's what your brainstorm should kind of look like. All right. And it can be, however it works best for you to make those notes and keep track. But once you have that, then you're going to kind of create your own key. So again, something that looks similar to this, like circles equal close to, red line equals marriage, red line with an X equals divorce, whatever you think works best for you. Okay. Create your key, put that here. All right. And then last but not least, create your tree. So you can do this right here on your note taker. If you want to do it on a separate Google Doc and share that with me, if you want to make it by hand and then take a picture of it, share that with me, that's fine too. The more creative you get with this, the better opportunity for some extra credit, some kind of bonus points. All right, I've already had one come in that was super cool, so I'll probably award extra credit to that person from second period today. So this is up to you how into this you want to get. And again, the reason for this is so we can continue to understand how important these kind of family lines, family heritage, genealogy is in shaping who we become, whether we know it or not, because that's what we're going to see in the story that we read. All right. So we have about 25 minutes left today. I want to give you guys that time to kind of work on this, get started on this. All right. So do we understand what we're doing with the family tree? Are there questions on any of this? Hey, good morning, Ambria. Welcome.
Hey.
All right. So besides those of you who may have just joined, if you understand what you need to do for the family tree, if that all makes sense, please give me a thumbs up or tell me in the chat that you are good to go. Okay. So I want to do a little check-in here to make sure everybody knows what's going on. And then if you just joined in about like a minute or two, all right, Salima said, got it. Thank you. So Salima is killing it today, but I would want to make sure everybody else still has a pulse out there. So again, if you understand what you need to do for that family tree, like creating your own family tree on that note taker, please give me a thumbs up or a yes or got it in the chat right now, so I know that you understand what is going on. Okay. Again, I'm going to hear from you in the chat if you understand what we're doing on that family tree today. If I don't hear anything from you in the chat, I'm going to assume that you have no questions, that you're good to go. Shabria, thank you. Excellent job. Like I said, if I don't hear anything, I'm going to assume that you're good to go since you haven't spoken up or asked a question. So I'm going to keep moving on here. All right, so I've got responses from Salima and Shabria, so I know they're good. The rest of us, again, if you understand what you need to do for that family tree, please let me know in the chat so I know you are good. Okay. Let's do this then too. I'll just show this one more time, because I know we have some people that joined a little bit late. So rather than do a breakout room, I'll just do it one more time for everybody in case some people are still a little bit stumped. But right, we are working from the entry event note taker. You can find that on Summit. So like Ambry, I know you just joined a little bit late. So if you're wondering where we are, now this is the time to tune in. Same with anybody else who joined a little bit later. So you can find this on Summit under our class. So go to your year view, find creative writing, and then click on our project, Homegoing. And then you'll see checkpoint 1 right here, reading notes, click on that, scroll down, and then you'll see entry event note taker right here. And then it's going to look like this, okay? The top part you should already have done, all right? And then if you scroll down to the bottom part, this is where we are working from today. Okay, so we've come up with our definition for a family tree, and now we are creating our own. So I kind of gave you my example of how to brainstorm a list of people and make some notes as to who they have, and I'll do that right here. So parentheses equals that.
Mr. Todd,
Okay.
is this all we've been doing in class, or was we doing checkpoint 1?
No, so this is all we've done so far. So this is under checkpoint 1 in Summit, but we haven't done the actual checkpoint yet. We're going to start digging into that next class on Friday this week.
Okay.
Okay. So that's why we should make sure we are kind of working on this, getting these family trees done today or this week if we can. Right. And so again, making the brainstorming a list of people to include, coming up with your key down here, so you know like, okay, what means what. All right, how am I keeping track of this? All right, and then making the actual family tree either right here on your note taker, or if you want to do it somewhere separately and then share that with me, like in a Google Doc, or take a picture, send it to me. Um, then that's up to you. And again, the more creative, the more in depth you get with this, um, the better opportunity for some bonus points, for some extra credit. So, good way to pad your grade a little bit at the beginning of the term in case you fall off a little bit later. Okay. So that is the basic gist. Again, if you have questions about anything or you're lost, please give me a shout in the chat or let me know, or come see me in the Summit Lab today. But I'm going to give you guys the bulk of the rest of the time this morning. I've already been talking a little bit too much. So I'm going to check back in here in about 15 minutes, and we'll kind of wrap it up, and we'll go from there. So in that time, you should be brainstorming that list, putting it on your note takers, thinking about how you can start to make your family tree, because this will count for your grade for checkpoint one. So to have checkpoint one all the way green, you have to have this family tree done as well. Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Let me know if you have questions. I'll check back in a few. All right, y'all. Maybe about 2, 3 more minutes, then we'll check back in here, wrap things up. And again, we should be working on starting to come up with those family trees. All right, thank you. All right, y'all. Just a few minutes left. Okay, so what I want you to remember for next class, which is on Friday, so we meet again Friday, is to try and have these family trees done by the beginning of class on Friday. So, when class starts. That means you can, uh, again, you can do it right there on your note taker, and I'll go back and check those. If you're going to do it somewhere separately, send it to me, take a picture and send me an email, share a Google Doc, whatever you need. Um, but you have from today, tomorrow, Thursday, because then on Friday, we are going to start jumping into the actual story, kind of digging into that, right? So that is kind of going to be our plan, all right? Are there any questions with anything? How to do anything, where to find anything on Summit?
Yeah, excuse me, how do you find it?
How do you find it, you said, Kanaya?
Yes, because I'll do it
All right, no
after
worries.
I go to
I
school.
will let me share my screen and show everybody again one more time. Let me just put on my student view so it's a little easier to see. All right. This is a good question, though. Thank you for asking. All right. So when you get to Summit and it looks like this, you want to go over here to your year view and you want to find our class, creative writing. Click on our project, homegoing. right? And then you want reading notes right here, checkpoint 1. And then if you scroll down, you should see the second one right here says entry event note taker, right? Then it's going to look like this, right? Now you may already have stuff filled in on yours since we've been working on it. So if you do, then you're in good shape. And then where you're doing the family tree is going to be, let me reload here, towards the bottom. So like you can see on mine, we have the first part filled in, and then down here is what we kind of did today. Define family tree, and then you can start brainstorming your list of people, what your key is going to look like, and then make the actual tree, right? But again, you're finding that under checkpoint 1, and then scroll down, should be like the second or third one right there. Okay. Did that help, Kanaya?
Yes, thank you.
Cool, you got it. And again, if anybody else forgets where to find that, you can always pull up the class recording on the Yes Philly YouTube page, and you can watch it there. And you can also come see me in the Summit Lab later today. All right, I'll be in there from 1 to 3, same link as this class. All right. But ladies and gents, if there are no other questions, we are good to go for today. All right, please remember that I want to see those family trees by the beginning of class on Friday. And if you get stumped at all, please reach out, shoot me an email, come to the Summit Lab, let me know. All right. If no other questions, we are good to go for today. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the chat, and have a good one. I will see you Friday. All right, good job.